Once in a quiet little village, nestled beside a whispering river, there lived an old man. He was known by everyone for his serene presence and the gentle wisdom in his eyes. Whether the sun shone brightly or the clouds gathered in a somber gray, he always carried an air of deep tranquility. People from the village and even neighboring towns often came to him, bringing their tangled worries and heavy hearts, seeking his counsel. His words were never many, but they carried the weight of the mountains and the clarity of the river, always bringing a sense of peace. One crisp autumn afternoon, a young man came to visit him. His shoulders were slumped, and his face was a mask of frustration and sorrow. He looked as if he had been battling a storm within himself. He sat on a smooth stone across from the old man and spoke, his voice barely a whisper. "Elder, how is it that you are always so calm? No matter what storms life throws, you never seem to lose your footing. Don't you ever feel the sting of hardship or the bitterness of failure?" The old man smiled, a gentle, knowing smile, and gestured towards the flowing river. "My dear boy," he began, his voice as calm as the river's surface, "peace is not found by wishing for a life without storms. It is found by building a strong anchor within." The young man looked puzzled. "I don't understand," he confessed. "When everything falls apart, when dreams shatter and hope fades, how can anyone remain anchored?" The old man pointed to a sturdy old tree standing by the riverbank. Its branches were gnarled, and some were broken, but it stood tall and firm. "Let me tell you a story," he said softly. "When I was a young man, much like you, I had a grand dream. I wanted to be the greatest potter in the land. My hands were skilled, and my heart was filled with passion. I spent all my days and nights at the potter's wheel, shaping clay into what I hoped would be masterpieces. My workshop was small, but it was my entire world, filled with the scent of wet earth and the promise of creation." He paused, his gaze distant, lost in the river of his memories. "I had a wife, a wonderful woman with a laugh that could brighten the darkest day, and a young son who loved to watch me work, his eyes wide with wonder. One year, a great competition was announced in the capital city. The king himself was to judge it. I saw this as my chance, a moment to prove my worth and provide a better life for my family. I poured all my energy, all my savings, and all my heart into creating the most magnificent vase the world had ever seen. It was to be my legacy. For months I toiled, ignoring the strain on my body and the pleas of my wife to rest. The vase took shape, a thing of beauty and perfect form. The final step was the firing, the most delicate and crucial part of the process. I placed the vase in the kiln with trembling hands and a prayer on my lips. The fire roared for 2 days and 2 nights. When the time came to open the kiln, my heart pounded in my chest. But as the heat dissipated and I peered inside, my world crumbled. A single ugly crack ran down the side of the vase, from its elegant neck to its steady base. It was ruined. In a single moment, my dream, my hope, and all my efforts had turned to dust and broken clay. I was consumed by a storm of despair and anger. I felt as if the universe had conspired against me. For weeks, I couldn't bring myself to touch clay again. The workshop fell silent, covered in a thin layer of dust. My laughter died, and a shadow fell over our home. My wife tried to comfort me, but I pushed her away, lost in my own sea of bitterness. I saw the disappointment in my son's eyes, not because of the broken vase, but because of the broken man his father had become. I felt there was no light left for me, no path forward from the rubble of my ambition. One evening, as I sat staring blankly at the wall, my son came to me. He held a small, clumsily made clay bird in his tiny hands. He placed it in my lap and said, "Papa, it's not perfect, but it can still fly in my dreams." His simple words struck me with the force of a lightning bolt. I looked at the little bird, with its lopsided wings and uneven shape, and then I looked at my son's hopeful face. In that moment, I realized my foolishness. I had been so focused on the one crack in my perfect vase that I had failed to see all the unbroken things in my life. The love of my wife, the innocence of my son, the skill still in my hands. The next morning, I went back to my workshop. I took the cracked vase from the kiln. Instead of throwing it away, I did something different. I learned the art of kintsugi, a Japanese method of repairing broken pottery with lacquer mixed with powdered gold. I carefully filled the crack, not to hide it, but to highlight it. The jagged line of gold made the vase even more beautiful and unique than it had been before. It told a story of imperfection and resilience. It was no longer just a vase. It was a testament to the fact that broken things can be mended and made stronger. That vase never won the king's competition. I never became the greatest potter in the land, but I learned a far more valuable lesson. I learned that our struggles, our failures, and our scars are not things to be hidden in shame. They are part of our story. They are the golden seams that give our lives depth and character. We cannot control the winds that blow or the storms that rage. Sometimes our vases will crack, but we can control how we respond. We can choose to see the crack as the end, or we can choose to fill it with gold. The old man turned his gentle eyes back to the young man, who was now listening with rapt attention, his own inner storm beginning to calm. "You ask how I find peace," the old man continued. "It is because I no longer strive for a life without cracks. I accept them when they come. I have learned that the light you seek is not somewhere out there, waiting to be found after the hardship ends. The light is in how you choose to navigate the darkness. It is the gold you use to mend your own broken pieces. It is the courage to stand up after you fall, the compassion you show yourself in failure, and the love you continue to give, even when your heart aches." He picked up a small, smooth stone from the riverbank and placed it in the young man's hand. "This stone has been tossed and turned by the river for years. It has been battered against other rocks and scraped along the riverbed. It is not perfect. It has nicks and rough patches, but the river has also smoothed its edges, making it what it is today. You are like this stone. Life will toss you and turn you. It will leave its marks on you. But it is these very experiences that will shape you, that will smooth your rough edges, and that will ultimately reveal the strength and beauty you carry within." The young man looked down at the stone in his palm, then up at the old man. The deep furrows of worry on his brow had softened. A glimmer of understanding, a tiny spark of light, had begun to dawn in his eyes. He didn't say a word, but his posture had changed. He no longer looked defeated. He looked like someone who had just been given a map. He held the stone tightly, feeling its coolness and its history. He nodded slowly, a silent thank you that was more profound than any words. He had come seeking an answer and had been given a path. He understood now that finding light in difficult days was not about waiting for the sun to appear, but about learning to carry a lamp within his own heart, a lamp fueled by acceptance, resilience, and the courage to find the gold within his own cracks. If you enjoyed this story and its message, please share it with anyone you think might find it helpful, and subscribe to the channel for more content you're sure to enjoy. Let me know what you thought of the story in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next video. Until next time.